Yo, what's up, everybody? So I just got home from a very long afternoon of yard sales, estate sales, and as you can see here, I've come home with some boxes of books, and we've got lots of comics and some magazines and all kinds of stuff. So let's check out what we got here in a second. Hey everyone, this is Jeff, and welcome to Outer Worlds Comics. I'm so happy you can join me today. Hey, hit like and subscribe. I appreciate it. I'm trying to build this channel as much as I can, and man, was I out hustling for you this weekend. It's Thursday through Sunday. I had activity like you wouldn't believe, chasing comics, and it was a lot of fun. Now, I thought, boy, I could just cut this up and make these all different videos and get a lot of content out of it. But the way I kind of view this, the way this last 4 days went was, so it's Memorial Day weekend right now. We'll see when I post this, because right now when I do these videos, it seems like I'm a little delayed on getting them out. Maybe I'll post this one first. I don't know. Either way, I kind of look at this whole thing as just one big, giant, just run of fun that I had this weekend. So let's start. I'm going to try to be concise with this, so bear with me. This might be a long video. We'll see. So on Thursday, the first thing that I did is I'm always checking estate sales online. You know, I have apps that kind of update me when estate sales. So sometimes they have them just online. Sometimes you got to go in person. I haven't had a lot of success with actually finding an estate sale and going to it and finding comics. I've had a little bit of it in the last year, but this weekend I had some good hits. And the first one was on Thursday. There was a listing on this app that I use, and in the listing had a stack of comics. They had them like all spread out, and then they showed another picture in where the comics were in a box. And it was a lot of like Copper Age stuff. No bronze or anything, no silver, just Copper Age. But I did see a bunch of Secret Wars in there. So I was like, all right, let's just see what happens here. And then I saw some other stuff that I sell, which I can get into. But anyway, it was at 9 o'clock, and I got there at 8 o'clock because I'm always fearful that there's going to be a line, especially if people saw the comics. And I got there an hour early, and I was the first one, signed my, and they had a list, so you didn't have to stand there, which was great. Signed my name first on the list. At 9 o'clock rolls around, I'm first in the door. Now, the lady had given me a little heads up about where the comics were. You kind of go in, and I'll show a video of that, of how I did that. But you go in, and then you kind of walk down past a room, and then the bedroom on your right. So I knew exactly where to go. I had some time to do a little research to what else was on the listing, and there I know a little bit about other kind of magazines. So there was some Saturday Evening Post magazines in there, and I've had a little success with flipping those on eBay. So I had my eyes on getting those. There were some Scientific American magazines. I looked those up on eBay. Those can sell. And then all of those Saturday Evening Post and Scientific Americans were 50 cents a piece. So I loaded up on those. There were also a lot of antique books, and I had kind of zoomed in to see what was in there, and had seen on eBay that there was some good value in those books. Of course, the guy that was behind me had asked the woman, I overheard him asking about where the books were. So I was like, oh, there's going to be some competition on those books. I was a little bummed about that, but I was focused on going to the comics. Now, when I went in there and saw the comics, I was immediately bummed out. The lady had warned me. She said, they're not mint. And I said, well, are they in poor condition? She goes, no, they're not in poor condition. They're just not mint. I'm like, all right, I can work with that. Well, I got in there, and frankly, they were not in great condition. There was a lot of comics, and I started going through them, and I was pretty much immediately, like, the air's deflated as the guy next to me is picking out like every single killer antique book that I could have probably made a killing on those. But I was so focused on the comics, and he got in there and literally made a huge stack and took every one of them that I had researched that had some value. So he knew what he was doing. So kudos to that guy. I'm sure he's pretty happy with his score. The comics, on the other hand, there was a lot of beat up comics. I'm not going to show you every single one of them because it's really not worth it. But, um, so here's the stack that I got of comics. They were $2 a piece, which was, I paid too much for comics that probably weren't worth it. Although the two best condition ones, I did get Secret Wars number 5 and 6. These are in pretty nice condition. I would call these near mint, actually. And then I got a bunch of like Iron Man. I can't really hold them up, guys, but some Iron Man. And then just a bunch of Iron Man, some Fantastic Four. See that, and so there's a key right there. Fantastic Four. Some good Doom covers on the Fantastic Fours. And that was it. And then I got this Fantastic Four X-Men. These are all mid-grade. So, if I could probably throw these together in a lot on eBay and maybe recoup my money, maybe not. But as I was going through those, because I saw those Secret Wars, sure enough, Secret Wars number 8 was in there. So that was cool. Now this has kind of a crease right here. It's got a crease right here. The spine has some issues. So definitely a low grade copy. I'm going to, as if I have I have the press now, and I've got my cleaning supplies. So I might actually set this aside and try to clean it and press it myself at some point in the next month or so after I get some practice, and just see what I can do with it. Maybe I can flip this thing for like $30 or something. I don't know what a low grade. I haven't looked up what a low grade issue of this goes for, but that was cool. I was happy to find that. The coolest thing out of that estate sale, and I know this isn't comics, but I'm just talking about in general about how this all works for me, is I had noticed there was this Barbie case, and I'll throw a picture of it on the screen here. That was sitting there, was $15, and nobody had taken it because there had already been a lot of people behind me because I went right to the comics, and so I'm looking at it, and I opened it, and there was like all these like there was accessories, there was dresses, and there was a Barbie in there. So I popped it up real quick and looked on eBay, and the case sells for like $20. I didn't have time to do more research. Took that thing home, and turns out that case with a Barbie, I assume that's the Barbie that came with it. I don't know if a Barbie came with it when you bought that, but that's a Barbie from that era. It was 1962 when this thing came out. And then all the dresses and accessories and like hangers, shoes, hats, all of this stuff sells for like $600 on eBay. I've seen there was one on eBay that had two Barbies that sold for $600. Mine is on eBay right now, and it's already got a bid of $100 on it. So I spent $15. So all in on that estate sale, I spent $80, and I've listed all of the posts, Saturday Evening Post. There was some World War II era music magazines that I've listed on there. I bought like a record player. It's basically something that you can use to keep the record steady. And it's a vintage one. They have some value. So I threw that on eBay. And then the Barbie. So the Barbie thing alone paid for the entire deal, and I'll make more money. I'm interested to see what this thing's going to go for. I think it's going to go for $200 to $300 at a minimum. That's my guess. So I was super stoked on that, and then I got that. That's cool. So we'll see if I can practice and clean that up a little bit, and maybe get $30-$40 out of it. We'll see. I don't know. So that was cool. So that was Thursday. Now on Friday, yard sales and estate sales were popping like crazy on Facebook Marketplace, everywhere. So I woke up on Saturday morning, and I'm laying in bed, and I'm getting older, so I seem to wake up at it's 5:30, 6 o'clock, and I'm just laying there not wanting to get out of bed. So it's early in the morning, and I'm looking at all these yard sales and estate sales, and I just start messaging I must have messaged 25 of them, and I would just say, do you have any comics? 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 And one of them responded, yes, they had comics. And I said, well, do you know how many? Do you know what it is? And they didn't respond right away. And and then she did respond as I was starting to get ready. I was like, I'm just going to start getting ready. And they did respond that they're trying to find out what they have to let me know, but they do have them. I just started driving, and it was about 30 minutes away from me. So I drove there and walk in the garage, and I didn't see any comics right away. And I walk into the garage, and then I see a box that's been set aside, and I look on top, and there was a heavy metal magazine, and I'm like, oh, and I start flipping through. And before I got too far, this woman comes up to me who was part of the sale, and said, "Oh, were you the guy that called the message about the comics?" I said, "Yeah, yeah." And so she was great. She was from, like, I don't know, Europe somewhere. I can't remember what she said, but she was spicy. She was so cool. This lady was so cool. And well, what? And she had an accent. What do you want to pay for? What do you want to? What do you want? And I said, well, you tell me. What do you think? She goes, $10 piece. I was like, no, that's not going to work, because I had looked through a few of them, and they weren't, at least what I was seeing looked like there was some conditions. The box had some other magazines. It was a funky stack, and they kind of had a little curl in them because of the way they were stored. So, like, along the spine was curled. It wasn't necessarily damaging the spines that I was seeing, but it was curled. So I was like, no, that's not going to work. I was like, yeah, based on the condition I'm looking at, I don't think that, we're not on the same page. And she goes, oh, no, no. What are you thinking? You tell me. What are you thinking? And I'm like, well, look, I mean, I didn't say this yet. I said, well, I said 40. And she goes, oh, no, 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 no way. Not 40. And she starts kind of fingering through them, and she goes, there's a lot in here, and we were thinking way more. She was like, I can do 85. And I was like, I can't really do 85. I was like, what about 60? I'm meeting you in the middle here. And she goes, she said, well, why don't you just, I can't remember what she said, but either way, we were at a standstill. I know that. So I was like, well, let me just go through them all and count them out. And she before I did that, she counts them. She's at 65. So counts them out, and then I said, let me just kind of take a look, and let me just gauge the total condition of the collection of what I have here. And I was like, I collect these so I can know the value, and you're asking a little too much. Now, I started looking through them. I got through about 12 of them, and she goes, all right, you know what? 65. 65, we got a deal, 65. And I said, 65, we got a deal. Handshake. I pay her right there on the spot, and we're both happy and laughing. I had to pay her because she's like a massage therapist, and we started joking about, what's your wife going to think about massage therapy? It was a whole thing. It was funny. You have to trust me. It was funny. So I was happy about that. And then I said, well, just hang on. After I paid, I was like, I'm going to look around a little bit more. And then I go out back to the driveway, and they had this sled that was filled with Star Wars paperback books. And then they had another giant box filled with Star Wars hardcover books. So I did a quick eBay search to see what those go for, and I saw, oh boy, these have the hardcovers ones for sure have some value. So and then she had $5 on each hardcover and $1 on the soft cover. So I said, well, what would you do if I wanted to buy all of these? What kind of deal? And she goes, 125, I think is what she said. 125. Would you do 125? There was 60 books in all. There was 40 of the hardcover books and 60 of the softcover books. So I said, yep, we got a deal. You worked with me on the heavy metal. All good on that. So picked up the Star Wars books. I'll start showing that stuff here in the video. Picked up the Star Wars books and the heavy metals. Excuse me. And I got home. When I got home with that collection, I immediately started listing some of the Star Wars books. I found out there's some pretty darn good value in these books. I had no idea the true value. Some of the just individual books sell for over $100 that I had in that collection. So I set aside the really, really good stuff. And I will sell that stuff, but I'm kind of saving it to maybe get money for Heroes Con. But then I listed a bunch of the other stuff to try to pay off my investment into that. And then I did the same thing with the heavy metals, which I'll show as well. When I started going through the collection, I found something really great. And but how about real quick is what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what I kept out of the heavy metals, and then what I've sold and what I'm selling. I will say just real quick because I probably won't go up and show the listing, but I listed. I have a 50. I think it's 30 or 50. Gosh, I think it was 30. I have 30 heavy metals listed right now on eBay. I mixed in a few of the other collection that I had bought. That one of the listings sold, but the guy didn't pay. So I kind of combined them into a 30 lot thing of heavy metal, which is getting a ton of views, and it's already got a $50 bid. My guess is that thing will go for $100. And then I've already got several bids on the Star Wars lots that total $150. So pretty much the way I look at it, I've already broken even on my investment on that, and I'm sitting on a giant pile of Star Wars books that have considerable value that I will make good money on. And then I'll show you here what I picked up in heavy metal that I'm keeping, and then one that I'm going to sell. So bottom line is I crushed it on that estate sale. And I like it. I'm learning new things every time. Like I didn't know those Star Wars books had the value, but I'm learning that some hardcover books like that do have value. So it's all new little nooks and crannies that I'm getting into. I just love the estate sale thing. So it's not a full-time deal for me, but it's something I can do to make a little money to buy more comics. That's all I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to become a guy that's just hustling to make a buck. I'm doing it to hustle to make a buck to buy a comic. That's what I'm doing. So anyway, I'll show you these heavy metals. Let's check them out. All right, here's what I kept in my heavy metal, out of the heavy metal lot that I bought. I got July 1977. Most of these are in a good mid-grade to high grade. December 1980. March 1983. Pretty nice copy. Got the Bride of Heavy Metal. That's pretty awesome. It's in really nice shape. Got November of 1981. Got November of 1982. Really nice shape as well. Got September of 1982. Awesome cover. We got a September of 1977. This is a really early issue. It's got a little bit of tear there. Otherwise, it's pretty nice. I'm going to try to press this one out a little bit, but yeah, that's an awesome cover. We have March of 1985. Have February of 1984. July of 1985. I'm gonna, like I said, a lot of these had like a little bit of a indentation. So I'm hopefully learn how to press some magazines so I can get all of these worked out, clean them up. We have Summer of 1986. Awesome cover. We have this, it's from 1984, The Son of Heavy Metal. Very cool. We have August of 1983. I love this one because it mentions Captain Beefheart, who I'm a fan of. And then we have a July of 1983. We have June of 1984. And then hidden in the box twice in 1 month, I came across this baby, September of 1981. This one is not as in nice shape as the one I found about a month ago. It's got a few ticks here. Could use a clean. I'll clean it. And but it's, you know, otherwise just amazing to have even in this condition. There's this one book right here would pay, you know, more than pay, at least pay for the lot of heavy metals that I bought. The ones. So anyway, that was nice. And then I'm going to sell this one as well. I have a nicer copy of this. Is April of 1978. But anyway, just thought I'd show what I kept out of the heavy metals. And then, like I said, I listed a bunch of others. After I picked up the heavy metal magazines and the Star Wars books, there was a guy that's had a posting on Facebook Marketplace for quite a while. and he's been selling a book of like run fillers. Okay, so he was like it was like 1,600 comics, run fillers. He was open about it, but I can't remember what he was asking, but whatever he was asking was not what I was willing to pay. And I just kept watching it and watching it and watching it. And then so he had posted, he's having his annual garage sale or estate sale or whatever he called it. So after I finished up this estate sale with the Star Wars stuff, this guy lives in Blackhawk, which is out in the foothills. It's, it's off the beaten path, no doubt about it. And if you've seen my video, the driving through the mountains, that's where I had to do. I drove over a mountain pass, like through a state park or a national park, and got to his house. He lives out in the mountains, and he, this is his annual thing. And it turns out this guy sells on eBay. That's what he does for a living, and he collects all kinds of stuff. He's not really a comic book collector. He has collected comics in the past. He knows about comics, but he had picked up this collection, and it was sitting in his garage. So I get in his garage and start looking through books, and I'm seeing some run fillers that I need, interesting stuff. Everything was $1. And he also had a box filled with Mad magazines. Actually, 2 boxes filled with Mad magazines. So I had my eyes on those as well. So I'm looking through the books, 25 minutes, 30 minutes, and he was busy with other people. Eventually he walks over to me, and I'm just rapping with him. I'm like, hey, just confirm everything, $1, whatever, yada, yada, just small talk. Walks away, and he turns around, he comes back, goes, did I see you at the the retro collectible show in Longmont? I was like, yeah. Turns out this is the guy. If you've watched a prior video, there's a prior video where I show off a haul that I got from, like, I think it was called the retro, I can't remember what it's called, like the retro collectible show or toy and comic show or something like that. I had scored from this guy. He was very fair on some pricing on some great books that I like. There was a Wolverine. I can't remember all the books that were in there. I think there was a Wolverine #1, not the 4-issue limited series, but the official #1. There were some great Spider-Man books in there, including the one where like Venom is on top of Spider-Man. There was some cool stuff in there. Maybe like I think maybe the one where like it's the Hulk and Wolverine, like Wolverine. What is that? Wolverine #8, maybe. I can't remember all the stuff that I got out of it, but I remember making a video about it, and I was stoked because I paid great prices on those books. So that guy's like, we had this moment of, oh yeah, we do know each other. So it was really funny. Anyway, I'm going through all the books, and I end up with, at some point, a big giant pile of comics. And he starts trying to like, well, you should just, think about buying them all. I was like, yeah, because I think he had it over $1,000. He said, I'll come down to 900. And I was like, yeah, I don't know. But he could tell I was like interested potentially in making a deal. But I just went back and looked through comics. And at some point I counted it out, and I was probably up to like $150 in comics. And then I had picked up a few Mad magazines. He had a lot of sub 100, which is stuff that I want to work on for Mad, is like everything up to 100. I have some other cool Mad magazines, just covers I like, but I'd love to get 1 through 100 at some point. So he had a lot of that stuff. And so I was doing the math in my head, and I was probably up to $200 that I was going to be spending in that range. And then I started thinking, I was like, if I just bought all the Mad magazines, those sell pretty well. I could probably flip all of those Mad magazines for $150 to $200, just all the Mad Mag, and that's not including stuff that I kept or would keep. And then I'm in $150, So anyway, it was in my mind, I'm like, well, I got $200 spend here. I could make that back I could sell the Mads. I'm messing this up in my head, but either way, the point was, as I started working in my head, why not just buy the collection? And so we're talking, and I'm like, yeah, I was like, I told him, I was like, I've been stalking that listing forever. We were laughing about it. And I was like, in my head, I was going to come up here and tell you I'd pay 30 cents a book on this collection. And he said, all right. So he was thinking about it. So we eventually agreed on a price, and it was $700. Okay. All in. That was all the Mad magazines and 1,600 comics. I'll show a picture of the long boxes. Of course, I should have counted in my head to tell you right here on the spot. But what I can tell you is this. I'll do this for you. Look at that. There you go. That's the comics. So I've already organized them all. What's going on here? Nope. Yep. There we go. So I've already organized them all. I went through the collection, and this is what I'll say. I made a mistake. I don't think I should have bought that collection. I went through it very quickly, and I did pull out a good stack of comics that I needed for run fillers, some minor keys. But when I got home and really started organizing everything, I ended up pulling enough out and put it into a kind of a large box of stuff that, I don't know what I'm going to do with. It's like a quarter at best. If I was able to put a giant lot on eBay of just mixed comics from DC and Marvel from the 80s, whatever the listing would be, I would make a lot on it. But there was, listen, there's stuff in there. There's a lot of Silver Surfer, Iron Man, Hulk. I got one of those entire long boxes back here is filled with X-Men from 250 up to into the high threes. I mean, so I got an entire long box of X-Men and a short box of X-Men and X-Men related character stuff. I got a ton of Alpha Flight, West Coast Avengers, you name it, from New Mutants, a lot of that stuff. And then I had a nice box of DC and some cool independent stuff. I got a lot of really cool Spawn in there that actually I could do something with. Did I get enough? If I was just thinking I'm going to make a killing on the $700, that ain't happening. Can I make my money back on it? I think I can break even. I can definitely make a chunk out of it with the Mads. If I sold all of the sub 100 stuff along with all the other Mad magazines, I'd probably make $350 just on that stuff alone, if not $400, because I've sold a lot of Mad. I know the value of those. So that would leave maybe another $300. And could I flip enough comics to make $300? 100%. So I have to be committed to really doing that. So I am going to do a Whatnot show, and I'm going to sell a lot of $1 or $2 books. So I think I'll do something. People will want some of that stuff. Maybe. Worst case, I can put it on eBay, and I know I'll make some money. But when I look at it combined, if I were to think about that day on Friday, between the heavy metal magazines, the Star Wars books, and all the comics, I know that I will make money on all of it. And I ended up with a short box full of comics that I needed, and I ended up with a stack of heavy metals that I needed that I've shown. So it was fun. So all in, it was a lot of work, and maybe I would not do it again because I do have a lot of comics that I had to organize and I'll have to move. But I did it because I do want to go on Whatnot, and I do want to sell. I want to see what it's like. I want to get experience with it, and I could start with some low value books and then go from there. So all in, I'm not hating myself for it. I'm happy with it, but maybe jumped the gun a little bit on that one because there wasn't anything real special in there, and I knew that going through it. What are you gonna do? I could ramble about it. It was a good learning experience. It's just hard to find any kind of really banger collections around here. See Very Gary and all these guys buying unbelievable collections. I think those unbelievable collections walk into comics book stores, and those guys pay 30 cents a book, and they end up with a boatload of keys. I just haven't had that luck yet. So I'm hustling. I'm trying. So there you go. That was my Saturday. That was a crazy day. I had a lot of fun with it. Okay. On Saturday is what I ended up doing is we had a local comic swap, and it was hosted at a really cool new location for this comic shop that I have not been to before, where they also can do consignment. I will list the name on here as I'm making the video. I did not think to write it down. So when I talked about it, I knew what the name was. So I'll post it here. You should check it out if you're in Colorado. It was a really clean. They had some great books. It was really cool. They had more than just comic books. They had like anything collectible, really, like baseball cards, some action figures, Pokemon, some stuff like that. I think they have some records. I didn't actually get a chance to look at those, but it was really, really cool. So, excuse me. So anyway, they put on this comic swap, and it's all a lot of the guys that I've gotten to know in the community here. That some of them that go to our Friday group session, and so a lot of these guys will just set up a table, and you bring some long boxes, and then you kind of mill about. You look through books, you buy books, and you talk comics. It's really fun. It was a small turnout this time around. I don't know if it was the Memorial Day weekend, new location. Either way, still went down there and found some great books. I have a friend named Jimmy, and he sells books. I've picked up books from him at these swaps. Really interesting guy, very funny, and great taste in comics for sure. We have a lot of similar taste, I think. Although he tends to lean into the he likes obscure stuff, and I think he likes Golden Age era, Silver Age stuff. But anyway, he brought some great books. He always makes a great deal for me too. So I just really enjoy working with him on books. And then I think I'll be seeing him at Heroes Con as well. So this is what I picked up from him here. I got this nice Hulk 109. He had $20 on this. He'll give me his prices, and then he makes a deal at the end. So very fair. It's a nice condition. It's a mid-grade, but it's beautiful, clean. I mean, it feels like it should be above a mid-grade, but when you inspect it a little bit more, it probably is. But it's very nice. And then I got Swamp Thing this is number 2, and this is high grade. Guys, it's got one crease along the bottom corner, so 8.5, call it, just to be safe, conservative, but very nice. And I got from him, let me move those aside, got this Moon Knight number 2. I mean, just clean as all these Moon Knights are just as high grade as it gets. I mean, frankly, it looks like a 9.8 candidate. That's really nice. Really nice. And I love all the Moon Knights when they have the black and white covers. Moon Knight number 15. And then I got Moon Knight. I'm going to look at the numbers here. Moon Knight number 17. Beautiful. Look at that. Golly, the Moon Knight covers are so incredible, especially when they're in high grade, like all of these are. Moon Knight 21. Moon Knight Saga of the Swamp Thing number 26. I got an Avengers 175 because I'm working on the any kind of cosmic storylines through Marvel. I want to kind of get through I want to get the through line of all cosmic kind of events, storylines, like the key ones. And so this is part of it. I think this is like the first time you see Korvac in his real form. There's a few key things happening in this issue. So got a deal on that. Now this was not from Jimmy. I've got 3 other ones I'm not going to show because I'm sending those as a gift. But I got this from Jimmy. I did not get this from Jimmy. I got this for free, kind of. It was for $5, but I made a deal, and I'm going to show you because I left it back there behind me. So just give me 1 second, and I'll be right back. All right, we're back. I had it up on the wall. That's why I had to grab it. So another guy had, I was looking through some, where I got the Avengers, and then I was flipping through, and I ran across this. Yep, there we go. Star Wars number 68. I have the other Star Wars with Boba Fett on the cover. What issue is that? See, now I'm going to look. Here we go. Yeah, that's what I thought. 42, issue 42. So I needed this one. And I've had my eye on it. I've looked at it on eBay, but I just didn't pull the trigger a few times. It kind of got into I just wasn't ready for it on eBay. But this one was just like right in front of my face, and it is a gorgeous copy. I think safely could say this is a 9.4. It's got a couple of things going on with it that keeps it from being a 9.8, but it's so close. It is so close. And of course, I've been working on this Star Wars run. I've got most of the key books at this point, the big ones. I think I have them all the big ones. So this is just, oh, man, it's just such an iconic cover. I think this is just one of the best covers from the Copper Age. I guess, is this the Copper Age? I think it is, either way. And it's a newsstand. So he had 130 on it. And so he threw in that Avengers book for me. I was happy. I was fine paying 130 for this. I think that's pretty much right where it needs to be. So yeah, I mean, golly, I was really excited to get that. So that was the comic swap. There was some other stuff I picked up that's I've got set aside elsewhere. Not with me right now, but that's what I did at the comic swap. And let's go into Sunday. All right. So now I could have done this separately Sunday, because what happened is I went golfing early Sunday morning, and I was down south of Denver. So I happened to be pretty close to my LCS, which is Hall of Justice Comics, fantastic comic book store. That's where my pull box is. And I hadn't been, as far as I know, I don't think I had been the entire month of May. So I knew I needed to get there. I don't want to be a guy that's, you got to go at least once a month to pick up books. So I ended up having a pretty nice stack of comics there. So I just figured I'd show kind of what I picked up and what was in my box. I had Adventure Time #1, and this is the deluxe edition. So that's cool. I love Adventure Time. I got the Mark Spears Captain Planet. I mean, I just picked these up on Sunday. I haven't even dealt with anything yet, and just had them in a stack. So Captain Planet, Mark Spears, that's the cover A, #1, and then I got the Virgin. Yeah, I got the Virgin variant. It's just that's the sticker on the bag. That confused me for a second. That's the Virgin variant. I just love Mark Spears, amazing. Captain Planet's weird, and so I grabbed it. We got a Helverine because I got his first appearance. I don't know if this is. Yeah, this is just a variant maybe of his first appearance. I can't remember why I had this pulled. I think this is the first appearance issue. So it's just a variant maybe. I don't know. Could be wrong about that. Of course, I do collect the Hulk. So we got Hulk 25. There's some nice variants that came out for this. Some of those ratios. I didn't grab any of those. I try to limit myself on those. I do, excuse me, I do like to grab them for the Hulk, but I kind of wait, and I feel like I can get them at a more reasonable price if you just wait a little while. But this is Hulk 25 with a killer Hulk Thor. I can't wait to read this. I don't know what's happening here. But anytime those two face off, it's classic, and that's just a killer cover, I think. All right. Of course, I've been grabbing these because it's me. I'm Jeff. That's why. It's Jeff. I'm Jeff. So I grab them. A little bit of ego, I guess, there, guys. We got the Mark Spears #4, or Mark Spears Monsters #4. Awesome cover. Every cover. If that's one I could pick up every variant, every ratio, all the stuff, I would, but I would go broke because they're so cool. I did grab this. This is I think so this is the #1. I don't know what printing this is, like 5th printing or something. I don't know what printing this is. So 4th or 5th printing. I could be wrong. I probably am wrong. But either way, I grabbed another one of the printings because why not? And it's cool. It's kind of got like that, purposeful fading and stuff wear, to make it look vintage. Very cool. He's done such a great job with that run. The story's great. All the covers are amazing. All the homage covers he does are amazing. So cool. I am a sucker for foils, guys. I am a sucker for foils. It is very true. So I got this Spider-Man Wolverine foil cover. Beautiful. Very cool. I kind of don't remember. I almost think this is a little bit of a mistake on the LCS's part, but it's possible that I just decided to get I don't know why I got these in my box. I'm going to have to make sure I talk to him about this because I don't collect the run. I did pick up one of the Virgin variants of number 1. So this is Vampirella number 2. Okay. I think this is Jenny Frizen, I think, on the cover. And so I got the Virgin variant as well. So I think I have the number 1 Jenny Frizen Virgin variant, which is an incredible cover. So I ended up with number 2 as well, which frankly, this is an amazing cover. So, I mean, I would not have normally spent $30 to buy this number 2 Virgin variant, but now I have it. But I got to check because I don't think that should be pulled for me. I got the, again, the foils, guys. It's a thing for me. I'm going to have to cut it out because it's going to get ridiculous. The Vision and Scarlet Witch foil, I thought that was pretty cool. And then the last one, we have another foil, guys. We have Space Ghost Johnny Quest, Space Ghost number 1, Mark Spears. Thought that was awesome as well. Add it to my Mark Spears collection. So there you go. That was my unbelievable run of picking up comics, estate sales, and yeah, that was pretty fun. So very big day. Let me know what you think. I'm exhausted just from talking about it. It's probably a very long video, and if you stuck in through the whole thing, I'm happy that you did. I had an amazing weekend. I wish I could have more of those, but I've got to get into the run of like flipping the money as quick as possible, paying back into my bank account so the wife isn't mad at me, and then taking the money that I do make and investing that into some cool comics. That's the plan. Let me know what you think. All the different stuff I showed you today, and I appreciate y'all watching, and peace out.